Imagine a world without electricity. No lights, no hospitals, no technology. Energy is the lifeblood of modern civilization. And as our population grows, so does our demand for power. But how do we meet this demand without destroying our planet? Renewable energy sources like wind and solar are essential, but they have limitations. The sun doesn't always shine, and the wind doesn't always blow. Nuclear energy, however, offers a reliable, constant source of power. Day or night, shine. But behind its gleaming promise lies a darker reality, one filled with risks, tragedies, and consequences that can last for generations. This is the story of the dark side of nuclear energy. It was a quiet night in Pripyat, Ukraine, April 25, 1986. The air was calm, the stars were hidden behind a veil of clouds, but deep inside the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, something was about to go terribly wrong, something that would change the world forever. Alexei Petrov, a young and idealistic engineer, has just been transferred to Chernobyl. He's eager to prove himself, but his enthusiasm is met with cold indifference from his superiors, particularly Viktor Drachev, the plant's deputy chief engineer. Drachev is a man hardened by years of bureaucratic pressure, more concerned with meeting quotas than safety protocols. On night of April 25th, Alexei is assigned to assist in a safety test on Reactor 4.4. The test is supposed to simulate a power outage and ensure the reactor's cooling systems can function on backup power. But as the hours pass, Alexei notices irregularities. Pressure levels are unstable and the control rods behave erratically. He voices his concerns, but Drachev dismisses him, insisting the test must proceed to meet Moscow's deadlines. At 1:23 a.m. on April 26, the unthinkable happens. A sudden power surge causes Reactor 4 to explode, sending a plume of radioactive material into the night sky. The explosion is so powerful it blows the 2,000-ton steel lid off the reactor, scattering debris and igniting fires that light up the horizon. Alexei, who was in the control room at the time, is thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. When he regains consciousness, the room is filled with smoke and the acrid smell of burning metal. He stumbles outside, where he sees the reactor engulfed in flames. Workers are running in panic, their faces masks of terror. Drachev, realizing the magnitude of the disaster, orders the remaining staff to contain the situation, but it's too late. The core is exposed and radiation levels are skyrocketing. Alexei, despite his fear, volunteers to help. He knows the stakes. If the fire isn't contained, the entire region could be poisoned. As dawn breaks, the town of Pripyat awakens to a strange glow in the distance. The residents are unaware of the danger. Outside, firefighters rush to the scene, unaware of the invisible danger that surrounded them. Among them was Vasily, a seasoned firefighter who had seen his share of disasters, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The air tasted metallic and the sky glowed an eerie red. As he aimed his hose at the flames, he noticed something strange. The water seemed to evaporate before it even touched the fire. By dawn, the town of Pripyat was waking up to a nightmare. The explosion had sent a radioactive cloud into the atmosphere, but the residents were told nothing. Children played in the streets, unaware that the air they breathed was poisoned. Anna, a school teacher, noticed a strange metallic taste in her mouth as she walked to work. She brushed it off, thinking it was just her imagination. Meanwhile, at the power plant, the situation was spiraling out of control. The core of Reactor No. 4 was exposed, spewing radioactive material into the air. Alexei and his colleagues worked frantically to contain the damage, but they were fighting a losing battle. Radiation levels were off the charts, and the heat from the burning reactor was unbearable. As the day wore on, the first signs of radiation sickness began to appear. Firefighters who had been on the front lines started vomiting and collapsing. Vasily, who had inhaled a lethal dose of radiation, was rushed to the hospital. His skin was red and blistered, and he could barely speak. By the afternoon, the Soviet authorities finally acknowledged the severity of the disaster. A decision was made to evacuate Pripyat. The town erupted into chaos. Families scrambled to pack their belongings, unsure of when or if they would ever return. In the days that followed, the true scale of the disaster became apparent. The radioactive plume spread across Europe, contaminating crops, livestock, and water supply. Alexei, who had been exposed to high levels of radiation, was transferred to a specialized hospital in Moscow. His body was failing and he knew his time was running out. Once a thriving Soviet model city, home to nearly 500 people, Pripyat is now a hauntingly empty shell, a silent witness to one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. The streets are overgrown, the buildings crumbling, and the air heavy with the weight of memory. This is the story of a city that was abandoned in a single day, left to decay under the shadow of Chernobyl. Now the real horror begins. December 1986. By a team of Soviet scientists and liquidators sent to investigate the ruins of the reactor. As they ventured into the dark, radioactive bowels of the plant, they encountered something that defied imagination. The mass, weighing an estimated 2.2 tons, resembled the wrinkled gray foot of an elephant, hence its name. It was a horrifying sight, glowing faintly with an eerie light, a testament to the immense heat and radiation that had created it. This is the elephant's foot. The elephant's foot is composed of corium, a rare material formed only in nuclear meltdowns. When Reactor No. 4 exploded, the core's uranium fuel rods melted, mixing with the reactor's structural materials, concrete, steel, and sand, to create a molten lava-like substance. This material flowed through the reactor's lower levels, eventually solidifying into the grotesque mass. The elephant's foot was not just a physical manifestation of the disaster, it was a silent killer. In 1986, the mass emitted radiation levels of 1,000 roentgens per hour, enough to kill a human in minutes. Standing near it for even a few seconds would cause severe radiation sickness, and prolonged exposure would be fatal. The human cost of the Chernobyl disaster is immeasurable. The immediate aftermath saw 31 direct deaths, including firefighters and plant workers. The most significant long-term health impact has been the increase in cancer rates, particularly thyroid cancer. Children exposed to radioactive iodine-131 in the days following the explosion were especially vulnerable. Thousands of cases of thyroid cancer have been diagnosed in the years since, and while many have been successfully treated, the psychological and physical toll remains. This was the story of Chernobyl nuclear power plant explosion, which was nearly equal to 400 times more powerful than Hiroshima. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't leave without subscribing. Have a great day.